What's going on, guys? My name is El De Niro.
That's not your name, fucker.
What's going on, guys? My name isn't El De Niro, and welcome to the Midnight Hour.
Exactly.
That's the actual opening. There we go. Wah, wah, wah. Let's rock and roll.
No power in the verse can stop me.
What's going on, guys? My name is El De Niro, and welcome to episode 56 of the Midnight Hour, our fortnightly podcast show, which has been consistently fortnightly for 3 months now. So fucking suck on that. I'm joined today by Jack, as always.
As always, I'm really impressed that we've actually managed to keep this going every other week. I think us doing it like every week in the first place was very ambitious.
But I don't know. I'm quite happy with the status of it at the moment because it's cruisy and we get to do.
We actually have ideas as well. Which is,
exactly. It's better. The show
seriously
is
is genuinely like 2 years in. Us having ideas before we actually make this phone call it's a very new thing for us.
It sure is. And speaking of new things, the SoundCloud link for this show will be in the description. If you listen to it there, it's better for a number of reasons. I say this at the start of nearly every episode, but I really want to get everyone over to SoundCloud because it's such less effort for me to put it there. It's also a better show because it doesn't get blocked in any countries like the Midnight Hour does. The reason that the last 2 episodes have like under 500 views is partly because about 600 or 700 people have comfortably transitioned to SoundCloud. And the other reason is because the last 2 episodes are blocked in multiple countries because we speak the truth and that scares governments. So yeah, like I would just really appreciate it if you did go to SoundCloud. I'm working on getting it on iTunes. There's some weird glitch that's happening to me every time I try and add it to the RSS feed, which if anyone knows anything about that, if anyone has a podcast on iTunes, please hit me up. That's the saying, isn't it? Hit me up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Smack my bitch up. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never said that out loud before. Hit me up. So that was actually really alien to me. I don't know why I chose today to be the day, but today we're going to be talking about cynical myths, which is a topic that we've had in the pipeline for quite some time, and only like over the last week or so did it really take shape for me in my head, the way that I wanted to talk, how I wanted to approach it and stuff like that. And one of the myths that I grew up with that I'm sure, I don't know if this myth has been updated for the current generation, but Marilyn Manson, of Marilyn Manson fame, allegedly had a few of his ribs removed so that he could perform oral sex on himself. Did you hear that myth when you were younger?
Oh yeah, and I heard the same myth about Michael Jackson as well, actually.
Yeah. I think it kind of applies.
Every kind of odd celebrity.
Yeah, anyone who's pale and
yeah, a little bit odd.
Yeah, I don't know if that has. Who do you think that would apply to today? It'd probably be fucking Lady Gaga or someone, like the way that the myths are.
I really don't know. Well, I mean, Lady Gaga had her own one. There was the fact that she had a penis.
Yeah, I can't come up with like a cynical nature of an origin for that, other than the fact that people are
dicks.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's very appropriate that we're choosing International Women's Day to discuss Lady Gaga and her non-penis. But
we're defending the fact that she doesn't have a penis.
Part of me thinks she started that myth for publicity, but then that's just me being cynical. Like that's probably not the case at all. It was probably some miserable person who's threatened by female sexuality and stuff like that. But the first one that really got to me that I was thinking of was the idea that Santa Claus is a creation of the Coca-Cola Corporation. Did you hear the alliteration?
Yeah, that was wonderful.
That's fucking sick. This is a myth that I think is almost a perfect cynical myth in a way, because it targets people who just it targets a certain type of teenager or young person that finds out that Santa Claus is a lie, and like if you interpret that in the wrong way, that's your parents have been lying to you all your life. You know what I mean? Like if you're having a bad time in childhood and you find out this, I feel like that could have potentially devastating consequences for someone who's just like, why are you lying to me? And then they find out that it was created by Coca-Cola, a corporation, like a multinational, faceless corporation that created the Santa Claus myth. And I think that that's just the ultimate cynical myth. And that's the episode. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, the end.
Tune in next week. No, but you know what I mean about it? Like, there's so many reasons why it sort of touches on the exact thing that it's invented to do. And that is to just, kind of show people that the world is a lot more controlled and marketed and bottled and sold, and like all of these sentimental things are dead, and it's not reality and stuff like that. And it is so cynical. Like, isn't it just the most cynical thing?
Yeah, like, I mean, the idea that Santa was created by Coca-Cola of all things, just because Coca-Cola is red and white. Essentially, that's really what it boils down to. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm on the Coca-Cola's like frequently asked questions actually dispels the rumor or the myth itself. They're actually like, no, yeah, hands up, it wasn't us.
Yeah,
it was like, we're not the reason he wears red. But they do like to toot their own horn in saying it is true that Coca-Cola advertising played a big role in shaping the jolly rotund character we know and love today.
Yeah, and that's like probably legitimately true. Like, if you think about like just being a kid and you think about Christmas and Santa, you do think holidays are coming. Like, you do straight away go into that sort of vibe, and definitely Coca-Cola played a huge part in that. There's also just red and white is like the most iconic color pattern in the world, in history, isn't it? Like, red and white is just...
yeah, you'll find it on everything, in terms of like flags and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, from a Coca-Cola logo to a swastika, there's red and white in there. Do you know what
I mean? I was thinking more like, the English flag, the Japanese flag, but yeah, you go straight for the swastikas. That's cool.
Well, if you think about it, a swastika is just a Japanese flag combined with an English flag.
That's some flawless logic right there, yeah.
That's some mythology writing my own. But the whole concept of Christmas is magical, full of sentimentality and beautiful memories and incredible stories and shitloads of cynicism from people when they become adults. The new thing that I don't really know how new it is, to be honest, but there is definitely a notion amongst Christians and I don't know what do you call sort of people who are Christian but like they don't believe in God or anything. They're just like, oh well, I've always been like Catholic, so therefore I don't know what the word for those people is.
Yeah, they're just
conservatives, kinda.
I guess so.
A certain branch of Christian conservatism where it's not necessarily embedded in the religion, but in the ideologies that they would have learned while growing up and stuff. But there is a notion amongst those people that there is a war on Christmas. Obviously, as we become more and more multicultural, we have more cultures coming into our countries and saying that Christmas offends them and they shouldn't have to adhere to a Christmas that celebrates the birth of a deity that they don't believe in, and as such we should not sell religious themed postal stamps at Christmas time. We shouldn't have mangers. What are some other things like?
Oh, just saying, like, instead you can't say to people, well, Happy Christmas or Merry Christmas, it's Happy Holidays.
Yeah.
Because that's non-religious specific.
That's the thing, is that Budweiser came out with that commercial. Their Christmas commercial was groundbreaking for a number of reasons. Like, number one, in that it contained horses running through a field, which... it was sort of a snowy field when it was in the wintertime. That has nothing to do with Christmas. Like, typically you think of a Christmas advert, it's definitely going to have snow, but it will have Christmas lights, and it will have Christmas related things like maybe elves or Santa Claus or bells and things of that nature, whereas theirs was just a bunch of horses running through a field, and the narrator just said, wishing you and yours a happy holidays from Budweiser. And it made people fly into an uncontrollable fit of rage because they were like, oh, do you fucking hear this? Do you know why he's saying happy holidays? Is because the fucking Muslims are offended. at the notion of there being a Christmas. They can't even say Christmas anymore. They want to come into my house, set fire to my Christmas tree, and tell
And
me
then
that I
piss
can.
on it.
Yeah.
And tell me I can't say the word Christmas anymore.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
having this. This is a fucking outrage.
It's so fucking ridiculous. Like, people get so up in arms about that you can't say Christmas anymore, and people get so up in arms on both sides of it
Yeah.
for exactly the same reason. People are so ready to be offended.
Yeah.
By anything. Like, that they've taken. So one half is offended by the fact that you're not catering to absolutely everybody all of the time, which is fucking impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other half's getting really fucking angry, like really fucking angry, that the other half isn't catering to them all of the time. And it's
Yeah.
like, just chill the fuck out.
I
Like,
love the notion that, like, Budweiser, who are a fucking business, who don't give a fuck what your religion is, like, just the notion that they're not saying happy holidays, like, to, you know, include more people in that message, right? And, like, even if they don't care about their customer base and they're just saying happy holidays to be all inclusive, why is that bad? Like,
yeah.
who's that harming? I don't get who the victim in that is. Like, it's definitely not you, man, with your Christmas tree and your manger set up in your house with the, you know,
Yeah.
the birth of Christ and all of that stuff. Like, you don't get to feel threatened by someone saying happy holidays just because it keeps other people happy. Not that I have ever in my life heard anybody complain about Christmas from that perspective. I know people who fucking hate Christmas, but that's got nothing to do with the whole, you know, fact that they're Muslim or...
No, yeah. And anyway, the whole saying happy holidays from Budweiser, the amount of like holidays, no matter what the religion, that there are from, say, mid-November through till mid-January.
Yeah, you've got like...
You've got Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like, you can just go, happy holidays applies to fucking everything.
Yeah.
One advert, one campaign, the whole time. Done. Easy.
Yeah.
Done and done.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's
one
like,
budget for one advert. And yeah, exactly.
You're spanning, you know, like 4 or 5 different holidays.
Yeah, Chinese New Year and like, just, yeah.
You know, regular New Year.
Yeah.
Fucking Christmas. All sorts. Like Thanksgiving, everything. You just span a lot of them.
It's the equivalent of me watching an American TV show and seeing a Happy Thanksgiving thing, and me saying like, "What the? I don't fucking celebrate Thanksgiving in this country. Like, I'm not fucking watching that. I'm not giving my money to this show that's saying Happy Thanksgiving. That's a thing that I don't celebrate. You can't tell me Happy Thanksgiving. Like, and you know, you're looking for something that isn't there, and that's sort of, it's just that feeling of being threatened. And I think. The whole idea that multiculturalism is ruining the world, or, you know, in some way contributing to some kind of societal regression, is just an absolutely outrageous notion that we see nowadays being purveyed in the idea that Sharia law is in full swing in London, and you can't go anywhere without being hanged for just being yourself, which is a crime to these people, as we all know.
I think, I don't know if I've mentioned it on this podcast before, but I'm subscribed on Reddit to the United Kingdom subreddit, and just because I'm incredibly boring and I like to know what's going on in this country.
Racist.
Yeah, I know, tell me about it. But some American, for some reason, was in this subreddit and was spouting some shit, saying, did you know there's parts of London where you know white people can't go out, you know, with a bottle of wine and a carrier bag because they'll get fucking beaten up by gangs of Muslims?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, no, just no, that's not, no. And this guy was like, this guy was talking about parts of London and then listed off like Croydon, Birmingham, and Greenwich. And I don't know if many people are like listening have been to Greenwich, but it's, you know, ridiculously multicultural. Everyone's like, you know, you get the few odd dickheads, but, you know, everyone's pretty cool. Everyone just gets on with it. Much like
too.
Most places, Birmingham as well.
To a large degree. Isn't Birmingham's the second biggest city in England, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's got the highest population of Muslims, I think.
Yeah.
Besides maybe Bradford.
Yeah, and those kinds of areas, Like, I've been to Birmingham several times, and I've never found it to be anything other than a really nice sort of, like, I mean, in terms of...
Pleasant place.
Yeah, right. Like, it genuinely is. Like, I know there's this thing amongst English people where, like, if you're from Manchester and someone says Liverpool is nice, you're like, that's a shithole.
Yeah, every city you're not from is a shithole.
Yeah, we do
naturally.
that in Ireland too, and it's really like I hate generalizations like that. But yeah, like I've been to Birmingham, and from an outsider's perspective, like it is not nothing, and it is definitely not a tense environment. You see, there are lots of different races and cultures and ethnicities there, and that doesn't ever. Like I've never seen. I mean, I'm sure there have been marches with the fucking EDL probably and shit like that, and I'm sure tensions have probably risen at some point or another. But on the whole, every time I've been there, I've never found it to be anything other than pleasant. So
Yeah, but so this guy was going on about how there's parts of London that you can't go to with a bottle of wine, and this bloke said, "All right, I'll finish work at 6. I'll buy a bottle of wine and I'll go and walk around Greenwich and I'll film it. I'll walk around for as long as you want me to with a bottle of wine, and I'll see if I get beaten up by a gang of Muslims." And he did, and it was just the most hilarious thing because it was just him walking through the street like a normal person,
and then
passing
a bunch of Muslims beat him up.
just passing other normal people.
Yeah,
and it's like I think there's it's kind of come with alongside hand in hand with social media, and bear with me while I get to the point of this, but like with the advent of the internet and with kind of social media making these kind of conversations possible, and conversations like spanning oceans, like friendships, and then like kind of building relationships with people from all other parts of the world, it's really kind of brought the world into seeming like it's a much smaller space.
Yeah, I agree.
It's really made the world a smaller space. So then in that smaller space, you've then got everybody being able to voice an opinion.
Yeah.
Their opinion, which most of the time people are idiots, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And then, obviously it just builds up into this kind of like ball of fear and kind of, can't offend anybody, can't do this, can't do that. But none of it's like real. You go out onto the streets and none of it's real.
Yeah, there's
nothing like
I know that you don't really support political correctness, and I do. Like I think I've never seen anybody be a victim of political correctness in my life. That's never something that's ever occurred to me. But I think that with social media, people are a lot more confident in saying opinions that are definitely normally perceived as bad.
Yeah.
But it feels as though because you're typing it, that somehow makes it less so.
Yeah, you've got the kind of the barrier of anonymity.
Yeah.
Kind of anonymity of like a screen name. But I think on the flip side of that, and this is where this is what I kind of really like. I've got no problem with people, being offended of really like people. An offensive thing to say, the N-word, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's still offensive online. That doesn't change that fact,
Yeah,
just
100%.
because you're online. But then it's when kind of this kind of Tumblr microcosm of nothing should offend me. I have the right for nothing to ever offend me, and for no opinions to challenge my own. When that starts leaking into real life, like at universities, and people are shutting down discussions and, protesting in, not even peacefully, but like kind of, shouting over lecturers and guest speakers because they don't agree with their ideals and their ideas. University is a place for free thought, and when you're crushing that free thought because you perceived it to be politically incorrect, as long as it fosters discussion, I don't think it should be kind of silenced.
That is a thing that I actually have never really witnessed, because I never went to university.
Yeah.
But I do notice that, say someone like Jerry Seinfeld, who he is definitely just threatened by the fact that I think comedians who don't like political correctness tend to be people who just are not comfortable with the fact that society has changed and that their old jokes about putting food in the VCR isn't funny anymore. Like that's kind of the comedians have, like, particularly in the older generation, at a time where you could make jokes like, oh, gay guys are like, hey, and straight guys are like, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
That kind of, I think Jerry Seinfeld is that kind of comedian, and I think he just doesn't like that people don't find him funny anymore. And he always cites universities as bad places and stuff like that. But I have also seen feminist speaker. I forget who it was, but it's someone who I've watched tons of videos of interviews of her on YouTube, and she's absolutely class. And I think there will be one episode of the Midnight Hour in future where I discuss something it really in depth that she said, because it blew my mind when I saw it and everything. But she was banned from appearing at a university because anti-feminists, like, you know, the Meninist types, were like, oh no, fuck that and everything. And then the same university tried to get an anti-feminist speaker, and then he was banned. And the whole thing was just a big, like, nothing happened. There was no discussion either way. There was no right, there was no wrong. It was just, it was censored essentially. And yeah, you're probably right. It's something that I've never honestly looked into. It's got nothing to do with the discussion.
No, we've gone off such a tangent.
What I wanted to say was along the lines of what you were saying with the internet and how it has given people it's given people more sense of a purpose with their sort of taboo opinions, maybe. And people are so threatened by Sharia law and just this notion that because your country has more brown people than ever before, that we are eventually going to have to adhere to their rules. And it's just such fucking nonsense. Like, I was out with one of the girls that I work with was meeting up with one of her old friends that she knew from college, and like, he was quite a cool guy. He was like in his early 40s, I think, and he was like, he knew a lot about music and stuff, like just the type of person I'd get along with really well. And then he was saying that there are sections of London that are cordoned off and you have to go through checkpoints and they check to see what alcohol you have and stuff, and I was like, fuck off, name one place that's like that. And he was like, he couldn't name a place, but he was saying that his brother or his cousin or something like that told him, and his brother or cousin lives there. And I was like, that sounds like somebody who is just racist and you know, hasn't admitted it, or else they're at least Islamophobic. Like, they're definitely threatened by this. And he did concede that that was a definite possibility. And I just think there's no fucking publicized case of Sharia law having any kind of impact on laws in Britain or America.
No.
Like, I mean, sure, right, Subway now caters to people who like halal meat.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be a problem to you. There's basically no fucking difference. Like, that's Subway as a corporation, like what we were saying about Budweiser. That's just them saying, hey, you guys that all live here now, you can eat here too. Like, it's just someone
appealing to the masses.
Yeah, that's what businesses do. Like, I remember fucking the day that news broke that Subway was serving halal customers, and some idiot, I won't name him, like, a good few people following this will know who he is, and he was like, oh my god, this is outrageous, I cannot believe how fucking stupid this is, and like published some Daily Mail article, and the Daily Mail thing said, the only reason that they're doing this is because Muslims have requested it. Which is like walking into a Tesco and being like, whoa, holy shit, you guys only sell batteries in here because there's a market for it. That's outrageous. You can't do so. And it's just like, just what are you doing? Like, why does this shit actually offend you? Like, ask yourself if you're comfortable with the idea of there being halal meat for sale in Subway. And if you're uncomfortable, ask yourself why. Is it because it's something that you'd never considered before? Is it because you don't know what it is, you don't know where it comes from? And then ask yourself, where does their normal meat come from?
Yeah.
Because that's an uncomfortable thing. Like,
yeah, like, you know, I know that there's McDonald's that sell, do halal meat as well.
Yeah.
And I saw a post come up on my fucking Facebook, and the guy was saying, I went and got my chicken and bacon McLegend or whatever, and the bacon, I bit into it, and it was kind of soggy and limp, and it wasn't nice and crispy. And I asked them, and she said, the girl behind the till said, it's because we do halal meat now, so we can't put the bacon in the fryers like we normally do. We have to heat it up in the microwave. And he was going, this is fucking bullshit, I'm never going to McDonald's again. And if your bacon's limp, this is why, the fucking Muslims. And it's like, dude, just don't eat at McDonald's then. Like, if you're that concerned about your food being of top quality, don't eat at McDonald's. Like, if you don't want limp bacon, you shouldn't fucking settle for caged battery hens either.
Yeah.
I mean, McDonald's have probably actually changed their chicken policy. I think they're all free range anyway, but it's now, their food is still not exactly top of the line.
It's still McDonald's.
It's still McDonald's, yeah. like, chill out, it's only bacon.
Yeah.
Like, bacon is put on this fucking pedestal that's so ridiculous.
I feel like just McDonald's is also at the center of a lot of cynical myths. Like, you know, there are so many people who have this idea in their head that, oh, in McDonald's, the chicken nuggets, they're made out of, like, cream, and that's just, like...
Yeah, and chicken testicles, yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and their ice cream is made out of pure fat and stuff like that. And, like, it's just because it's like, there are so many other fast food restaurants that don't get the flack that McDonald's gets. And it's just because they are the thing. Like, they're the biggest of their kind.
Yeah.
And therefore they have to be attacked and brought down a peg or two. And
I think, I will say, I think McDonald's does have kind of a track record of not being the squeakiest, cleanest kind of, institution.
I think
in terms, because I think that, their chicken nuggets back in the day, I remember them as a kid, there was this kind of, not even as a kid, as I was becoming a teenager, just this switch, and the chicken nuggets suddenly, it was like you bit into a chicken nugget and it was real chicken.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like blended chicken paste anymore.
I do.
And there's been tons of stuff like that whole woman. I don't know. You've probably come across this. The woman that was burnt by the McDonald's coffee.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, really like all she tried to do. This is in America, so obviously, none of her medical bills were paid for. And I think it was she sued them essentially to get them to pay for her to cover her medical bills, which was $22,000. To McDonald's, that's nothing. That's a day in one restaurant or something, 2 days in one restaurant. And they said no. So she took them to court and won, X number of tens of millions of dollars because McDonald's kept their coffee at such a high temperature, knowingly at a high temperature that was incredibly unsafe, that gave her third-degree burns and required her to have skin grafts across 20% of her body.
Yeah, I read a story, an article that detailed the actual stuff that she had, the medical procedures that she had to go through, and it's actually fucking mind-blowing, to be honest. Yeah,
like she had awful skin grafts, like across her like crotch and thighs and stuff like that, and it was like terrible. And McDonald's doesn't exactly kind of, that has always stuck with me as well, because people publicly really like went for her, saying that, well, you shouldn't just have fucking spilt hot coffee on yourself. You can't sue McDonald's for you spilling hot coffee on yourself. I mean, it was, but long story short, McDonald's isn't the squeakiest clean operation. They've cleaned up their act a lot recently.
They have, and they've done a great
job. A hell of a lot, yeah. A ton, like, the whole, everything's free range now. They don't use battery caged hens like they used to.
Yeah.
They make their staff seem like human beings in their adverts.
Yeah, do you know one thing I really like about there's, I don't know if it's only in Ireland or if it's Ireland and the UK, but in their new advert, the person behind the counter is a teenager with blue hair and tattoos and piercings. I haven't watched TV in months. So I saw it on
maybe
like a fucking stream or But it's fucking awesome that a corporation is doing that. It's actually one thing that I was saying in work. Like I hate that I have to wear. Everyone knows this. I hate that I have to wear a tie and all that shit. And the corporations that just embrace, modern trends with clothes, and just the fact that it's okay to have tattoos and piercings, like that's what I want in my society. And I think it's great that McDonald's are doing it. I feel like despite there always being a target painted on their back by like certain people, I feel like they're kind of good guys in a way. I don't know if it's because I'm such a I'm very contrarian sometimes. I hate hearing the same opinions from people that are so just unresearched and obviously bullshit that I sort of end up siding with the thing that they're up against. But it's definitely, like, they have done a great job, I think, at improving their public image. And I think if you're a kid now looking at McDonald's, I don't think it's as easy to be cynical about them as it was when we were younger, when there was every reason to, really. Yeah.
I think, oddly enough, Jamie Oliver has a lot to fucking do with that. Him and his whole crusade against all bad food that children get anywhere near.
He is awful.
Yeah, I remember, and aside from the fact that turkey Twizzlers tasted like shit, and the fact that everyone seems to remember them as this gourmet, delicious. It was swirls of breaded meat. Well, and meat is in inverted commas.
Yeah.
I think people hate him because it's cool. But
I
I definitely remember of one of his shows where he was like, "So do you want to see how chicken nuggets are made, kids?" And he just blended up like all the giblets and all of the rough cuts of chicken in a blender, battered them up, and served them. And the kids ate them, and they were like, "Those are fucking chicken nuggets, all right." And he was like, "So are you still going to eat them?" And they were like, "Yeah, they're chicken nuggets." Duh.
It's like, is it just me, or is it really hard to be a cook or chef who is famous and not be a dickhead? Like, Gordon Ramsay, and interestingly, I don't think Jamie Oliver ever actually used to swear. I think he always was a posh boy.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, yeah.
Gordon Ramsay got on TV and was like, fuck everything. I am so unhappy with my life, and it is your fault for not cooking these peas to absolute perfection. You've only used 2 grains of seasoning on these peas, and you should have used 3. This is a fucking outrage. Get the fuck out of my kitchen and fucking hang yourself. And then Jamie Oliver all of a sudden was like, yeah, fuck McDonald's, am I right? Fuck those bitches, yeah.
Jamie Oliver just wanders in just going, "I just want you all to be really healthy and just kind of enjoy your food, and that'd be really nice." And everyone just went, "Well, fuck you."
Yeah.
and then everyone embraced the kind of angry Scotsman who, did you know he had a fucking trial with Rangers?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Bastard.
I used to live in Scotland. And,
literally brought up every time he's ever see him mentioned of football in the same sentence. It's like, "Oh, did you know Gordon Ramsay had a trial for Rangers?" Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I fucking did. He mentions it at every possible opportunity as well.
It's a thing, like, when I lived in Scotland, like, Celtic fans just fucking hated him because he had a trial at Rangers. And, remember, like, all those celebrity football matches he would turn up in and play 17 seconds and then get stretchered off?
Yep. Yep.
I don't even know why that's funny. I kind of just strongly dislike Gordon Ramsay. He's one of those, like, if he was my boss, I would absolutely fucking never go to work. Like, you can't just, I don't know. It's like what I was saying in one of the episodes that we did recently about, like, drill sergeants and the way they talk to people. It's like, if you talk to me like that, I will just do the exact opposite of what you want from me. Like, that's not how you'll get through to me. Like,
and it's understandable as a drill sergeant. You're meant to be breaking someone down to mold them to be a better, to mold them into the image of a soldier, to get them to kind of follow orders without thinking, especially like in the heat of battle. You're in a kitchen, Gordon. Calm the fuck down.
Yeah, and like, in order to successfully do what, like, drill sergeants do, you have to also build the person back up.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
there's that second part that Gordon vitally misses.
Yeah, it's so, like, Jesus, if anyone spoke to me the way he speaks to people on that show, I would just never, I don't know, I can't, I hate that. It makes me cringe so hard that he takes food that seriously. Like, just get a grip, pal. Like, I don't know. I was gonna say another myth that I think is actually cynical. I think sexism is one of the worst things in the world, and while I do talk a lot about feminism on the show and find ways to fit it into things that I'm talking about, there is sexism against men that exists in the world. Yeah. And I really dislike the notion that men are incapable of multitasking, right? Because it is a myth that anybody can multitask. It's not possible for your brain. Men and women have the same brain. The differences between men and women come from things like the chemicals in their body, like hormones versus, testosterone versus estrogen, and just hormone changes and things of that nature. There's also a huge part to be played by the way you're socially conditioned when you are born in either gender and stuff like that. Like, men can multitask as well as women can. Like, men are not lazy and stupid and incapable of doing things like that. Like, men don't, club things all day and then come home to watch TV and grumble and drink beer and stuff like that. And I really just don't like being bracketed in with that idea of what a man is supposed to be. Like, have you ever seen any advert for any cleaning product ever. And this is like, cleaning products are just sexism at their finest. Like, the woman is cleaning and knows everything about cleaning, and the man is
The guy's got to lift his feet up so that she can hoover under them while he's watching TV with a beer.
Yeah, and the guy is a big fucking, like, mouth-breathing idiot who knows nothing about anything, and the woman is, like, disappointed in the very way that he is, and the things that make him him, and just, I hate that. I hate that entire notion, and I think it is really cynical because it is based in an agenda that women have to be one way and men have to be another way, and men are lazy, just slobs, and they can't clean, they can't look after themselves, they can't do anything without a woman, and that's bullshit, to be honest. I really hate being bracketed in with that, and even like I don't like the idea that when I get a new desk or a new table or something, that I should know how to put it together because I'm a man. Like, have you seen how skinny my arms are? I don't know how to do anything. It's the
one that really gets to me is the fact that I don't know if I've recently made a short film with I recently made a short film, and it involved a young girl. It was about 5 or 6. And an older woman as well. They play granddaughter and grandmother, whatever. But casting for as a 22-year-old guy, casting for a young girl, I really felt like people were kind of like, well, no, because I was a man. Like, and I feel like it's more prevalent. Like, I feel like it's getting worse. I don't know if you've experienced this, but the fact that all men are paedophiles until proven innocent. I feel like that's really is a thing. Like,
I wonder how much of that is in your head, though, because like I definitely used to have it. Definitely, I used to be really, really scared of shit like that, and I think I reached a point, or like just a level of self-confidence where I don't really care what people imply about me, because I'm very confident in my ability to argue. And more so than that, I'm just very unapologetic for who I am and what my opinions are. And if anyone accuses me of something, I know that I can just explain it away in an articulate and reasonable manner. So I'm fairly comfortable at the moment with just living my life and letting things happen around me. And if people come at me with accusations, I can definitely brush them off, and I can definitely argue them away if needs be. So I don't know if maybe it's just a thing, because I'm older than you, and I definitely used to think it, so maybe it is just a thing that I think once you get out of university, I don't think that you'll think like that anymore.
Yeah, I think I really do not feel like an adult still.
Yeah.
I really am not in kind of an adult mindset. Like, I don't, I went through having a 9 to 5 last year, but I always had that kind of security blanket of knowing that I was going to come back to doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah, it's true. And I actually had a really similar experience too, when I'd saved up enough money in the job I was in to basically quit and do whatever I wanted for a while, and I always knew that was coming, so I never did grow up. And like, truth be told, I think there's a very obvious difference in the me from now and the me from this time maybe 18 months ago.
Oh yeah.
And like, a lot of that is because I met a girl who, like, sort of, through her I found the confidence in myself to just be a much, much better person and stuff. But I find that my my self-confidence is at an all-time high, and I'm definitely not afraid by something that I would consider to be the pettiest of petty accusations. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if I were in your position and anyone judged me on that, I would just think that that's fucking sad. It's not something I'd be afraid of. Whereas before, I definitely would have. And like, I definitely would have put it off and avoided it, and found a way to not do it, quite frankly, because of the fear of that. So I just wonder if it's a young male thing.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. I think it's also, I've also got in the back of my mind that is such a kind of like a life-ruining accusation, as it were.
Yeah, exactly.
As well, I think that's a bigger part of it for me, the fact that, much like kind of if a girl was to, falsely claim rape, and then as soon as your name gets out there and associated with the fact that you've been accused of rape, that can't be taken back.
Yeah, but
You
like
know.
you could even just actually like drug a girl and rape her, but as long as you make good enough movies, it's fine, right,
Yeah.
Roman Polanski? You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's not life advice.
No, that is very far from my advice.
But yeah, no, I do know what you're saying,
Mm.
and like, I don't know, I don't know how closely linked to the idea that men are like sort of a certain way that notion is, because I genuinely don't know if it's an actual thing or if it's in your head, like, because I feel since I've properly grown out of that phase that it's not an actual thing. I don't feel like people in general are like that, but I do feel like people in like the comments section of something would definitely be like that. So it's really hard to differentiate between that and reality sometimes, I feel. I think as well, like, that people who fucking populate certain comment sections need to just stop.
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going back to what you were saying about, you know, men being really kind of stereotyped.
Yeah.
And I just you know, was scanning through some myths as well while we've been talking, and the kind of one that, and it's one that I haven't actually heard for a long time now, but it's the fact that men think about sex every 7 seconds.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, that we're so simplistic that that's
Yeah.
all that our brain goes through. I think that's one that was kind of really big when, I don't know, maybe it still is big amongst teenagers, but, you know, when I was a teenager especially.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, it's really weird looking back on this, right? But like pretty much every single female teacher in our school was someone that all the guys looked at and they were all like, "Oh, she'd fucking get it," and stuff like that. And like, I was never really like that. I was never really that kind of kid. I was like, if you've ever seen In-Betweeners, there's a scene where like they purposely cast like an average looking woman who's over 30. She's like
just any woman under 30.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
like
mildly.
she gets out of the car and like all the lads are just like, "Oh, it should be illegal for her to teach," and all that. And Will is like, "Well, maybe it's just the fact that she's the only woman in the school who's under the age of 30." And they're like, "No, mate," like it's just, they're absolutely not having it. But yeah, like looking back on that now is like, what the fuck was that? Obviously, like, men go through a phase where they just want to have sex with everything, and it's like, I don't know, I really have never been that type of person. Like, I'm very respectful to women and always have been, because I was raised by women, so like that's who I am and stuff like that. Now, I don't think that people who weren't raised by women are worse at it, but that's where my sort of respect comes from, or whatever it is. But I really don't like that either, like, because sometimes when I'm in work, well, not really in the job that I'm in now, but people would always say stuff like, to me, like, you know, "Oh, if a man did that, you'd be patting him on the back." Like, no, I fucking wouldn't. That's not who I am. Like, I don't make excuses for things that men do just because they're men. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like that's a thing. But, like, on the flip side of that, right, you've seen the latest Star Wars movie now. Everybody has, right?
Yeah.
People who are saying that, "Oh, no, Rey got way too powerful way too quickly," that's bullshit. She was too, like, if it was a man, no one would be fucking saying that. No one says it about Superman, no one says it about Neo, no one says it about any male hero that there ever has been in anything. Like, the movie's called The Force Awakens. Like, Anakin was too fucking old to be trained, so imagine how young Rey was when she was trained. And she was trained and left behind, and like, it's called The Force Awakens, not The Force gets taught to you over a series of several years that are put into a montage in the movie. Like, get a grip of your life. Stop complaining about things like that. You are only doing it because she's a woman. But yeah, like, that's the flip side of what we're talking about, and it does go both ways, and it is a thing that both sexes are victims of. I think women more so, and I think that should be obvious. But like, I get why young males feel like they're being persecuted in ways too, because you do get bracketed into being stupid and lazy and not able to multitask and constantly thinking about sex, and also being able to read maps is just a thing that you should instinctively be able to do. Like, assemble desks and stuff. And like, it is like, it can be really hard to be saddled with responsibilities that you're just not fucking capable of, to be honest. Like, And I totally get why people would feel like that those types of myths don't help anybody, because
Yeah.
they are essentially myths that have become stereotypes,
Yeah.
and they become expectations, and it just leads to disappointment, which leads to the dark side.
Yeah. And speaking of kind of myths and people, what do you think I don't know if this has ever been like outright stated, or if this is generally just the feeling that I get from a lot of people who think they're better than everybody else, but that that the population is getting stupider.
Yeah, I don't think it is. It's actually statistically getting smarter by the decade.
Yeah.
There's a thing called the Flynn effect, which proves that IQ gets higher and higher in the general population every decade. Now, I don't think that IQ is the be-all and end-all of people's intelligence, but it's definitely an indication, and it's definitely a judge of your aptitudes at several different things. I don't think people are getting stupider and stupider. I just feel like people's eyes are being opened to an unthinking, loud minority, and I think that's because of social media.
Yeah, I really just think it's, I've seen people saying, oh, well, like everyone's getting stupid and blaming it on the internet, and it's like, well, it's not the internet's fault. It's the internet's fault that you're seeing their stupidity.
Yeah.
But the internet's not to blame for them being stupid.
It's the internet's fault that your friend's uncle is a racist.
Yeah.
But it's not the internet's fault that he's a
racist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly that kind of thing, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But I've definitely seen the kind of thing echoed that, people are getting stupider. I think it's usually from kind of baby boomers.
Yeah.
Kind of because obviously anything that they don't understand or anything that they didn't grow up with is evil.
Yeah, it's the thing. Like, I hate generalizing, and I truly would hate anyone I heard saying this out loud. But the baby boomers are the fucking worst generation. They are what has ruined our planet that we are trying so hard to salvage, while they shout in our ear.
That's quite literal as well. They have quite literally ruined the planet.
They have, though. Like, they've ruined everything for us. Like, they are the reason the economy is in the fucking state that it's in. Like, one thing that I despise even more than the stereotype I just made and the generalization I just made is the idea that, well, when I was younger, I was better at life than you are now, because I got a job when I was 16 and I worked my way up to be a manager, and I rented a house all by myself. Like, yeah, you did, and it cost you fucking 13 cents a week, because little did they know you were going to go on and ruin the economy that enabled you to rent a house so cheaply and stuff like that.
I did all of this off my own back, and it's like, well, yes, because it was really fucking easy.
Yeah.
Literally everybody did it.
Yeah.
Everyone.
You were a white male in a world that was dominated by white males, and you see that being threatened, and you are bitching about it and throwing your toys out of the pram. And yeah, I've met so many people in my life who, it's something that I've always rallied against, is not mistreatment of the youth, but misunderstanding of the youth. I've always despised it, and I still identify with my 14-year-old self that was treated like a number in school. Like, I'm still bitter about school and the way that my teachers felt like I was an entitled, spoiled child because I was different to them, because my life is different to theirs, I was really, really afraid of getting on a bus for a long time because of social anxiety and just complete lack of self-confidence and stuff like that. Like, I couldn't get on a bus because of the way people would look at me, and it made my chest tighten, and it made me feel really weak and just terrible about myself and stuff. And then I come into school, and I said this in one of my we used to have religion, but it wasn't religion because no one's religious anymore. It was moral development. And the teacher in this fucking backwards town in Ireland was like, oh, when I was your age, I used to cycle 80 miles through...
Uphill both ways,
through 10 feet of snow, while being chased by fire-breathing dinosaurs with Nazis mounted on them, and you won't even get on a bus. Get a grip, and stuff like that. Being told to just grow up and stuff like that. fuck off.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
That is one thing that always really fucked me off when I was in school, is that, you know, you are treated like a child, and there's a point where you should no longer be treated like a child.
Yeah.
Like, well, you know, and the real turning point for me was when I went from being a school child into going into sixth form. So I was, you know, no longer in compulsory education. I was there because I wanted to be. I was wearing I wasn't wearing a, you know, uniform. I was wearing a suit to school. I was wearing a suit every day. You know, they weren't kind of like pushing us to do the work. It was kind of, you do it because you want to get a good grade, not because I'm telling you to.
Yeah.
And yet they still treated me like a child.
Yeah.
And that really fucked me off.
Yeah, it's absolute bullshit.
Yeah, and it was like, I dressed like an adult, I looked like an adult, I could, you know, join the military.
Yeah.
Treat me like an adult. It's like...
Yeah, you join the military, get married.
Yeah, get murdered like an adult, you know, die like an adult.
You can't get a tattoo, though.
No, yeah, it's true.
That's
or
illegal.
get drunk, but I can get shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, I went to college, and the kind of the teachers there, I called them by their first names, and they respected me, and I respected them because of it.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it's just a two-way street, and it was simple.
Yeah, there's always...
It's so much better.
I look back, like, there were some teachers I had who were just so fucking sound, and, like, without them, I don't know how I would have made it through school. Like, I really hated school. I hated school more than all of the people listening hate their school, probably. Like, I had a problem with authority. I wasn't really treated well by my teachers and stuff like that. I was kind of an outcast. Like, I didn't really feel like I belonged in the class that I was in. Like, I always felt different to other people and stuff like that. But some teachers were just so fucking good to me, and it's like, it's really good that I was afforded that from school, like at least, you know, like teachers who recognized that there was something beyond the sort of angry exterior, you know, like teachers who would see my test results and say like, oh, there's definitely like potential and stuff like that. Like, that's what I appreciate, because I feel like those are the ones who were actually doing their fucking jobs. And
yeah, the ones that actually cared.
Yeah, like, they weren't being blinded by their anti-millennial bitterness and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think there's really any truth to be had in the idea that people are getting stupider. No. I feel like perhaps, though, people's opinions are getting a little bit more tunnel visioned. Like, I think it's a lot harder to convince people. There's something I read quite recently. In fact, to be honest, to shift the topic, not the topic, but to shift the focus of the topic.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is running for the Republican candidacy in America, and he is absolutely fucking killing it. And in the process of him doing so, like, numerous myths have surfaced online. One of the things I read about Trump recently was on Facebook. It was shared by an American friend of mine, and it was a picture of Trump with a quote on it, and the source was People Magazine 1998. So we all know that this is absolutely a real quote, because it's a picture with text on it, and who would make that up?
Who would lie on the internet?
Yeah, exactly. And it says, "If I were to run, I'd run as a Republican. They're the dumbest group of voters in the country. They believe anything on Fox News. I could lie and they still eat it all up. I bet my numbers would be terrific." And that was a sample of an article with, an interview with Donald Trump in People Magazine from 1998. So, like, Fox News was not even a nationalized television news program in the year 1998, and it was more central than Republican. Also, Donald Trump never fucking said it, straight up, to be honest. That's not a thing that he ever said. But that myth is cynical. That's made with an agenda. Someone has made that because they cannot accept that we live in a world where Donald Trump's popularity is skyrocketing in the year 2016, and he looks like a legitimate candidate for the Republican nomination. And, like, that's someone who's like, I cannot have this. I need this to be, like, justified, or I need a reasonable explanation for this surge in popularity. And, like, it's not that he's really clever and that he is satirically trolling the group of people that he's getting support from. He's a big dumb idiot racist, and, like, I think we live in a world where it's slightly more okay to be racist than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But B, the Republicans had about 47 fucking candidates, and he is the most insane. So he's gotten the most publicity, the most traction. Like, his campaign has had so much fucking just media frenzies that have followed it and stuff like that. Like, on top of that, all of the potential political scandals and stuff that could ruin his character seem to just make him stronger.
Yeah,
Like, he
it's
just fucking...
it's so surreal to watch.
It is.
This kind of, it's like Boris Johnson is kind of this affable, lovable idiot who somehow became mayor of London.
I think there's a huge danger in cynicism to him as well. And
I think he's incredibly intelligent, and you shouldn't let the exterior of the kind of hapless buffoon kind of get in the way of that.
He did say homosexuality is a sickness, though.
Yeah.
And for that,
exactly.
I cannot forgive.
No, yeah. But it's kind of like someone just took Boris Johnson and was like, right, well, we're going to inject him with a ton of racism and a ton more stage presence and just let him loose in America and see what happens.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everyone's up in arms about Trump.
Yeah, like, he's saying that he's a Christian and he believes in Christian values, and there's another mythical photograph with text in the quoted text in the picture saying Donald Trump on Phil Donahue's show in the late 80s when he said, "I have a really high IQ, Phil. I mean, come on, it's impossible for me to not be atheist." And that's Donald Trump on the Phil Donahue show, 1989, which never fucking happened. But that's the thing, is this notion that he is an atheist and he is really, really clever, and he's just doing this because it's so easy to prey on the minds of these people because everyone voting for him is an idiot. And that's the world that people are trying to build up now because they're so threatened by, like, him, and, like, rightfully so, because he is fucking terrifying, and, like, he has one policy, and it's to build a big fucking wall and make Mexico pay for it. Like, you cannot... Like, his only policy is an anti-immigration policy. That's really similar to Adolf Hitler. And there was an article about Hitler in Time magazine, I think, in 1934 or 32, or the year in between those that I can't pronounce, because that's the one that it actually was. I just hate saying it out loud. So it was in 1933, and it said something like Hitler and his anti-Semitic persona is great politics, because he knows that that's what's going to get him elected, is his anti-Semitism. But once he gets into office, he will show that he's not an anti-Semite, and he will be a proper politician, and he will help steer Germany clear, and all of this stuff. And that's kind of like the same thing that is happening now with Donald Trump, is people trying to explain away his evil with this sort of cynical notion that he's playing people and this is all a ploy, and that this isn't just happening of its own free will in a context that we can't control and stuff like that. Like, it's really threatening to people that Trump's popularity is so high, and rightfully so.
It just, the whole Trump thing just baffles me that it's been allowed to get this far.
That's the thing as well that actually really annoys me, was I think I said it on a recent episode maybe, but that Chris Christie guy, I think he's kind of a good Republican, in the sense that if I had to vote Republican, I would probably vote for him. I think he seems like the best politician. Like, I know he's fucked up, like, he said very awkward things before, and he said things that I absolutely just flat out do not agree with. But other than that, like, he seems like a reasonable guy. And in all of the debates, when Trump says outrageous things, no one ever fucking calls him up on it. Like, no one says, like, no, Donald Trump, this is ludicrous. You cannot do this. Because they don't want to alienate his voters. Because everyone was of the impression that this is another publicity stunt by Donald Trump, and that at some point he would drop out of the race. And when that happened, his voters would be sold to whoever is the most outrageous Republican. So for that reason, no one would call him on his bullshit. And, like, that's not democracy. You know what I mean? Like, that's
No.
just a bunch of people trying to play a game. It's like that thing, like, did you see that guy saying, let's dispel this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing? He knows exactly what he's doing. He said the same thing, like, 50 fucking times on the stage. And
Yeah.
it's just, it's so annoyingly, tediously predictable and gamey, and just nobody fucking stepped up. And now Chris Christie's after backing out, and he's publicly supporting Trump. Like, what is he doing? I don't get it. It's actually mind-blowing. From an outsider's perspective, like, I'm Irish, I've never even been to America. And I just don't get where this is coming from. I don't understand why it's allowed to happen. I just do not get it.
Yeah. I just won't understand. I just can't understand it. Like, I really can't. Like, it's got to be this kind of vocal minority.
Yeah.
Like, incredibly vocal minority that will are saying they will vote for him. Then inevitably they won't turn up to the polls because they don't actually care that much.
Yeah, it's strange.
Plus, and then add it to this media frenzy that just loves to feed on shit.
Yeah.
Like, and you've got the perfect hype machine.
He doesn't even, the way he responds to, like, so, Donald, your fans are Nazis, and he'll be like, well, got pretty passionate fans and stuff like that. Like, he has nothing to ever say to, like, eradicate the notion that he is a white supremacist, or, like, he has public backing. He's the only presidential candidate or potential presidential candidate ever to get public support from neo-Nazi groups in America and stuff. Like, he's gotten a whole new branch of voters there in the right-wing sort of fascist leaning guys and stuff like that, and it's just so fucking mind-blowing. Like, I've never seen anything like it, and I never could have. You've
just got to kind of think that the neo-Nazi kind of groups all came together, the heads of the neo-Nazi groups all came together and were like, he's really bringing attention to how, kind of racist America still is, and we've kind of just been flying under the radar, doing our thing, being racist, and it's been a good gig, and he might ruin this for us.
Yeah.
If we back him, maybe he'll just go away. Maybe people will realise he's a racist and not vote for him, and we can go back to quietly being racist by ourselves. Yeah. Like, that is the only situation that I can make sense of this.
Yeah. And you see that, though.
That's got to be it, though, surely.
You trying to do that is what people are doing on the internet. It's like, the whole idea of a cynical myth is just creating something with an agenda to point out or to sell something to people or to ridicule people or to satirically enlighten people or something like that. And that's what, like, when you put something like that up, like, oh, Trump's got a really high IQ, he's an atheist, he's a businessman who knows that you guys are all idiots, like, do you not see what you're doing? You're shooting yourself in the foot here. You're pointing out how stupid you are. Like, it's so fucking idealistic, and it's just such a bad way of actually going about your argument, because you're just creating falsehoods that, like Donald Trump himself has given a rebirth to a myth that he saw Muslims cheering the 9/11 attacks in New Jersey, which never happened. Like, there is no reports of that ever having happened. It's something that he absolutely made up to put forward or amplify his, like, Islamophobia.
Agenda,
his agenda, yeah. And it's by creating a myth as cynical as the one with the Facebook text, you're doing the same thing that he's doing. It doesn't help anything. It's the same with those Sharia law guys saying, oh, there's nowhere you can go in England. Like, you're ruining your chance of ever having an actual conversation about multiculturalism and immigration and stuff. Like, it's stupid. It's wrong. It's dangerous. It serves a very obvious purpose, but it has absolutely no substance. It's just like, it's just like straw man ideology. It's just fiction,
Yeah, it's like Trump is the kind of person just to claim, to say that he has irrefutable proof that the world is flat, just to cause a stir. And this is a fucking killer segue that I'm bringing up. I'm just letting you all know so you can fully appreciate it. And another really cynical myth is that a lot of people in Christopher Columbus's time thought the world was flat.
Oh.
That is a touch dunk That one.
You have played your trump card.
Yes, I have. But
Sick.
and there are still people that think the world is flat for whatever reason.
Shout out to my homeboy B.O.B. Check out the top 5 tweets video.
Oh man, the kind of the myth in the public eye that the world is flat was dispelled a good couple of hundred years before Christopher Columbus went to sail across the world.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't under the illusion. Yeah, he kind of got where he landed kind of wrong, but
Christopher Columbus was a fucking idiot and a racist and a absolutely, like, I don't even know, like, he is one of the whole mythology surrounding him is actually infuriating when you read about what a fucking awful person he was and what an awful world he tried to give rise to and stuff like that. Like, he was a slave driver who just had absolutely no respect for the land that he had just, like, found himself. Like, even just the notion that he discovered America is just an absolute fabrication, and, like, the idea that this fucking, like, this guy had this one idea that the world was round and stuff like that, and it's like, no, stop everything. Like, when you read it, it was an established fact, all for the fact that it had been, like, proven or whatever. Like, everybody knew that the world was flat because it is flat.
Yeah, naturally. If you go too far in one direction, you will literally fall off. That's
correct. I love so much that B.O.B. made a song calling out physics.
It's a level of stupid that I genuinely put on par with people that think they faked the moon landings.
I know, he thinks that too.
Of course he fucking does. It's not like they put mirrors on the moon that you can literally bounce a light off of.
It's not like there's a dune buggy up there.
Yeah. Like,
It's... I don't know, like, just, I love the fucking picture of him with, like, he's on a mountain and he's like, where's the curve?
Just with a ruler.
Oh my god.
Just pulling a ruler out of his bag.
So
but the thing is, if he went to the top of a fucking mountain, or just went high up near the ocean, and looked out over the ocean and took a ruler, you could see that the world's curved.
But he said he uploaded a picture of Felix Baumgartner standing on the edge of the world with the when he was from the edge of space.
Yeah,
and,
it's the edge of space. Yeah,
he had the thing where the horizon was curved, but then B.O.B. had a GoPro corrected, because the GoPro automatically curves it. You see? So once you correct that, it's actually flat.
You can see that the world's flat. Yeah,
outrageous.
Like, unreal. Like,
even people in 1492 didn't believe that. So
no, like sort your shit out.
Yeah, the money given to Columbus was not to prove that the world was round. It was given to him so that he could find an easier trade route to the West Indies. So
and he really fucked that one up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. And the fucking Santa Marina ran aground. The fucking cunt didn't even know how to pilot a plane. Don't know why I said that. Pilot a ship.
Pilot a plane.
Yeah.
You just took the word pilot and ran with it, didn't you?
Pilot a ship into the ocean. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
No.
But yeah, that I agree. There was another one from the past that you have.
The ye old times.
Yes.
The ye olde times. Yeah, I think it's the kind of the myth that Napoleon Bonaparte was, really short, like extraordinarily short. And his nickname was it the Little Colonel?
Yeah,
the little Corporal.
Or was Little General, or
yeah, wherever he was.
The little chef.
The little fella. Yeah, the little chef.
Yeah.
Christ. But that was he was 5'7". That's not even particularly short by today's standards.
That's 2 inches smaller than me.
Yeah, like. It's not that short. It was average. It was above average then.
Yeah, it was above average height at the time.
There are many reasons why he could have been called the Little Corporal, a term of affection, kind of in jest.
Yeah.
From his friends, anti-propaganda, saying that he's, short from the opposite side.
Yeah, it's like
Could have surrounded himself by really tall bodyguards.
there was a footballer called Ole Gunnar Solskjaer who is a manager now, and he used to play for Manchester United, and his nickname was the baby-faced assassin. And 300 years from now, people will refer to his short temper and tendency to throw his toys out of the pram. And that's why they called him the baby-faced assassin. Like, that's the same thing as what you're doing there by, like, oh yeah, he's a little guy, fuck him and his short man syndrome and that whole thing. Short man syndrome, that has to be a myth as well. A really, really, really cynical myth.
Oh yeah.
Someone's just come up with because they met an angry short
person. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Just like everyone that owns a nice car is overcompensating for a tiny penis.
That's correct.
That is actually a scientific fact, though. So
everyone who drives a Mini Cooper is a really hot blonde girl with sunglasses on. That one is really close to a fact.
Do you know what? There's a guy who's got a really souped up Mini Cooper at my university. Like he does cross country drives in it and like races and stuff like that. And I've got some bad news for him.
Yeah. He's undercompensating for his massive penis.
Yeah, I'm afraid, mate, you're gonna have to sell that to a hot blonde in sunglasses.
Definitely. That is the only thing that you can do with one of those types.
Restore balance to the world.
Yeah. One of the companies I really wanted to talk about in this episode was Coca-Cola.
Mm-hmm.
Because while I feel like people love to take shots at McDonald's, I don't think any company, any company with a balance sheet as great as Coca-Cola's, like it's weird how it's such a universally loved product, yet it is absolutely like fucking blasted by people on, like, people hate Coke as much as they love Coke. There's such a weird sort of strange accepted fact almost with Coca-Cola that it is the worst possible thing you can drink. Like there's a thing going around the internet at the moment which is I think it's a thing that gym bros actually like to post because it shows how bad Coca-Cola is for you. And if you just bear with me a second, I think I can actually... Is
it the picture where it shows you how much sugar it is in each drink?
It's not that one.
Because that one's always a good one.
Yeah.
That one is quite true though. It is like terrifying how much sugar there is in some drinks.
There's even one that the Daily Telegraph did where they did a video about it, and it's basically just a guy like, and here is the amount of sugar in a sandwich, and he pours a bag of sugar. Here's a popular image going around the internet at the moment. What happens 1 hour after drinking a can of Coke?
Yeah.
Right, first 10 minutes.
I've seen this before, yeah.
10 teaspoons of sugar hit your system, and then in brackets 100% of your recommended daily intake. Right? Straight off the bat, that is the first thing written on this 7-point chart. Bollocks. There is 33% of your RDA for sugar in a can of Coke. It says it on the fucking can. Like, I don't get how you've put a picture of a can of Coke in the fucking thing and you haven't even been bothered enough to research it and write in what the actual thing is. And it says you don't immediately vomit from the overwhelming sweetness because phosphoric acid cuts the flavour, allowing you to keep it down and all this shit. Your blood sugar spikes, causing an insulin burst. Caffeine absorption is complete. Your pupils dilate. Blood pressure rises. Response to your liver dumps more sugar into your bloodstream. And just all of this stuff. There is a notion that Coca-Cola, the acids in it can dissolve a brick. It can dissolve a tooth overnight and stuff like that. Like, no, you have incredibly powerful acids in your stomach lining, which keeps all the, like, just no, like, on so many levels, no. Do you know what I mean? Like, if that were the case, then you would literally have holes burned in your body. Like, I don't get why it's become such an accepted thought that, like, a tooth will dissolve in Coke. Like, yes, it will over the course of several fucking years, probably. Like, why Coca-Cola? There's more sugar in a can of 7-Up than there is in a can of Coke.
Yeah.
So, like, why?
And there's more sugar in, most sports energy drinks than there are.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you know what else? When I was in school, we weren't allowed to have fizzy drinks because they have too much sugar, right? So instead, our parents gave us Capri Sun and Sunny Delight, and they all have. There's more sugar in a 200 milliliter pouch of Capri Sun than there is in a can of Coke, than there is in a bottle of Coke. A 200 milliliter pouch of a Capri Sun is something outrageous, like 66% RDA or something like that. Like it's and in Sunny Delight, don't even fucking think that that's not complete. Sunny Delight isn't even the color of orange. So like,
no, it's some new form of it's its own color. It's special stuff. That.
Do you know how it's made? They get oranges are only ripe for something like 6 months out of the year. So they take all the oranges from orange vineyards, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
And they bring them to these massive containers where they're crushed into liquid and they're housed there. And in order to keep them ripe and fresh and drinkable and from growing mold and stuff like that, they have to keep it laced with chemicals. And the chemicals that they use to lace orange juice like that to keep it fresh for when it goes on the store shelves is made by CKNY, who are a company that make perfume and aftershave. So you can only imagine what you're drinking. And not only that, the amount of sugar that goes in on top of that. Like, what you're drinking is not actually orange juice. It was at some point in time an orange, and it's so far removed from that by the time you're drinking it, that what you're essentially drinking is an incredibly unhealthy drink that gives you a sugar rush, and unlike Coca-Cola, doesn't even have the fucking caffeine to make it worthwhile. So, fuck off.
What I find funny is that, you know, Coca-Cola are, you know, this kind of really evil company, and we've mentioned McDonald's as being this evil company, but really, if there's one company you should hate, it's probably Nestle.
Oh yeah.
They are pure poison in this world. They are just awful. Like, I don't know if you saw recently, but it's within the last few days of recording this that they admitted that some of their they can't guarantee that all of their coffee is not made by some like actual slaves in Brazil. It's not harvested by slaves in Brazil. You know, and they were just looking like, you know, we don't know. It could be a thing. We're okay with that. And a company that size, they know 100%.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They willingly know. And there's it's something like, just looking at a statistic here, Nestle currently wastes 30% of the 700 million gallons of water a year it draws from the ground in California. And California's been in a massive drought recently.
Yeah.
And, you know, guess who's to blame?
Yeah. Wasn't there also a formula that Nestle made that you
For
had...
children.
Yeah, that you had to mix with water? And they gave just the formula to thousands of mothers in Africa,
Like developing countries. Yeah.
But they didn't have the water to mix it with, so they took it dry, and it turned out to be really harmful. I've never seen that substantiated. I've never seen that claim verified, but I was taught that in college by a marketing teacher. So I want to believe it's true because I learned it in college. But yeah, that's what I was taught. Like, we had one class where we learned all about just fucked up shit that the Nestle Corporation does, and it's not. Yeah, they are an awful company.
Yeah. And they own they're one of the big 6 companies that owns, or they're one of the big 2 or 3 companies that own everything, all kinds of animal pet food you could name. All tons of different types of chocolate, sweets. Fucking, they own the brands Ralph Lauren, Giorgio Armani, Diesel, Yves Saint Laurent. All of the tons of different kind of hair product kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Everything that Wonka makes. They just own so much shit, and it's unreal.
Yeah. They're an absolutely disgusting organisation from the stuff that I've read.
Yeah, absolutely horrendous.
But there is the by the way, the Nestle CEO said that water is not a human right. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they also they don't allow unions and all that kind of stuff. But I really do tend to tread carefully when going hard on companies that do that, because my Samsung phone could very well have been I don't know who made all of the stuff that I own, and it's actually really uncomfortable to think about sometimes. I try and buy brands that are known for being, specifically anti like child labor and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah. You buy fair trade, not Nestle because it's slave trade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But like when it comes to electronics and stuff, I don't know, and the truth is I don't want to
yeah,
know, and that's uncomfortable,
yeah. I think that's a genuine truth, and I think it's impossible. I think I'd be right in saying that it's impossible to kind of live a decent quality of life while trying to avoid all of the evil corporations.
For
If that makes sense, like for buying electronics and stuff like that.
yeah, like
Like
electronics specifically.
if you wanna buy anything decent or eat anything kind of really gluttonous,
Yeah,
you're buying from. In fact, to be honest, you go to a supermarket, do your daily shop, do your weekly shop, buy some stuff you wouldn't normally buy. Chances are you're buying from one of 6 companies.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. There's a company called Luxottica, and they make every single pair of sunglasses in the world. Corrected for brands that are, fake and
Yeah.
but like they produce. They're an Italian company, and they produce sunglasses for literally every single one of the big brands you can think of. All of them. They make all the sunglasses in the world. They have a complete monopoly on sunglasses,
Yeah.
which is fucking mind blowing.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone's probably seen this kind of this big image. I'm looking at it now. It's the one with kind of like Kraft, Coca-Cola, Nestle, PepsiCo, Kellogg's, Mars,
Yeah.
Unilever, Johnson & Johnson, and it just shows you everything that those kind of that small thing of companies own.
Yeah.
And it's like everything.
Yeah, Pepsi especially.
PepsiCo owns so many things.
Do you know that Pepsi, the market share between Coke and Pepsi, Coke has about 90% of it. Like, it's not half and half. Half the people don't drink Pepsi and the other half drink Coke. It's like 9 out of 10 people drink Coke. But they have the same levels of profit because Pepsi owns everything in the world. Like Walker's Crisps owned by Pepsi. Just stuff like that would just... like it's bizarre.
KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Like,
that's why you don't get Coke and KFC.
Yeah,
like, if
exactly.
Know.
And my favorite fact is that Coca-Cola is the #1 sold soft drink in every single country of the world apart from Scotland.
Yeah, because Iron Brew.
Yeah. And Iron Brew is made in one factory in Scotland, the same factory that it's always been made in.
Yeah.
And that's just wonderful.
And Iron Brew is fucking disgusting.
It's fucking delicious.
It's fucking horrible.
How did you even make it a year in Scotland?
I lived 3 years in Scotland. And Iron Brew is fucking vile. And also, what I love about Iron Brew is that it takes Coke's 33% sugar RDA and is like, nah, fuck
that, mate.
Nah, mate, fuck that. 66%. It's fucking ludicrous. It's just an outrageous amount of sugar in that drink.
Yeah.
Like, it is just sugar and Iron Brew, whatever Iron Brew even is, I don't know.
The best stuff in the world.
There's, what we were just saying about corporations and stuff like that, this idea that, the corporations have all the stuff. There's a huge, cynical theory about... There was... Coca-Cola did... For anyone who doesn't remember, right? I don't either. It was 1985. Coke released a new product called New Coke, and it is sort of widely known as one of the biggest marketing disasters of all time. It just didn't work. People thought it was way too sweet. Like at the time when they taste tested it, they gave people shot glasses, not accounting for the fact that if you drink it in like a pint glass, it's going to be way too fucking sweet. So it tastes really nice as a shot, but awful otherwise. But yeah, it ended up like ruining their market share and their profitability and everything. And a new myth is that they knew it would happen and they are profiting from it now. And it's like, I hate this world where people are like, oh, they're just doing that for the publicity, or they're just doing that because they know that they're going to make money from it and stuff like that. Like, oh, The Sun, everything they do is genius because it makes money. Like, no, like, your ability to make money is not what makes you clever, and every mistake that you do isn't a fucking amazing, like,
a well orchestrated,
yeah, like
business move.
There's something about that just is so fucking lazily constructed, and it's the same thing as people who fit everything they possibly can into a conspiracy theory, which is like, one of the most cynical myths is pretty much everything relating to the 9/11 truthers argument and stuff like that. Like the idea that so like the fighter jets that scrambled to intercept the planes on the way to the Twin Towers were delayed because they were actually doing a training activity on that day, and they didn't know if it was real or if it was in the training and everything like that. And like just trying to force stuff. I'm pretty sure that that's not even true. I don't think that's true at all. But forcing stuff like that into a fucking like conspiracy theory and all, like, it's so just cringeworthy and sad. Like, I don't know. Like, a lot of cynicism seems intelligent because it's easy to seem intelligent when you're so cynical about everything in the world. Like, you create this sort of depressive realism, towards everything. Like, oh man, it doesn't matter. Coca-Cola owns it all anyway, and stuff like this.
I think I think the whole Coca-Cola knowing that it would fail and then profiting handsomely from it today, I think that probably comes from this kind of naive kind of desire to believe that there is no failure in life.
I think at the root of the most of the myths that we've talked about today, and conspiracy theorists and stuff like that, is just a fear of
there is no bad shit in the world.
Yeah, it's fear of the fact that we are not in control of this at all. Like, we're on a rock hurtling through space, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just stuff that happens. And like, I feel particularly with that Trump one that someone has gone to the effort of making that, like, I get why it was done. It was definitely done out of fear and out of trying to explain away the idea. Like, if you're the person who created that, do you believe that? Because you know that you made it up. Is it one of those things where you just say it over and over and it
becomes true?
Like, I feel like it must be that. I feel like whoever made that is living in some kind of fantasy world. Like, perhaps they believe it to be true, but they fit the quote around it to, like, to substantiate the claim. They made up a quote, which is just the worst way of doing it. But, like, I suppose nobody ever checks source information and stuff like that. Yeah, I really do feel like at the root of all, like, cynical fiction is a fear of the unknown. I think that kind of has to be there. It seems perfectly reasonable to assume that based on what we're saying. Like, or it could also just be a way of avoiding having to think properly about it for yourself. To just be like, oh yeah, well, obviously they knew they were going to do that.
Listen to me. I know we never got much relief. Lips when I walk, started to talk, and the aching was just part of me. Listen to me. Know all about agony. When you say that it hurts more than anybody sees, with a heart colder than the heart on the beat. But you married a man who lied to your love, but it wasn't like that when he first picked you up. When he drove you around and he bought you some flowers, until something had changed and the temperature's south. I'm alright, baby, I don't mind. I'll get on just fine on them long, long drives. Call it a lie. Oh, whatever brings you back to life, we can turn it around, we can drive it straight home. If you wanna be alone for the night, whatever song you like. From the souls to Mackinac, we can turn it up loud, we can put the pedal down with the rain beating up my love. Cause you wait for a job that'll never be enough. You're never gonna feel like when it first picked you up, when it drove you around, brought till the thrill is gone. But you say I'm alright, baby, I don't mind. I'll get on just fine on them long, long drives. Last night I remember being 17. I met a girl with a taste for the world and whiskey and rites of spring. Spent every night with the sex she liked in a car that I borrowed a lot. I could never get her to believe. Cause we tasted a kiss that was safe from below. It was cool in the night, I was old as a stone. In the back of the car where they try on your heart, the suddenly showed you the teeth. But you say I'm alright, Jamie, I don't mind. I'll get on just fine on them long, long drives without you. Drives without you. And I still see him sometimes and it doesn't look right. You left me for him and then you left him for spite. I hope you never pay that price. Wherever you are tonight.